Terrorism is defined as the unlawful use of violence by domestic or foreign groups or individuals to achieve a goal. Terrorism can come from foreign groups, be state-sponsored, or be domestic and is aimed at hurting the country. Terrorist attacks in America aimed at harming those with racial or religious differences have altered the country's politics and legislation. The goals of terrorists are religious differences, racial discrimination, and political change. This is the top 10 most impactful terrorist attacks that influence the legislation and politics of our country. Number 10. The Sterling Hall Bombing. On August 24, 1970, 4 men bombed the University of Wisconsin's Army Mathematics Research Center, killing 1 professor and injuring 3 others. These men acted as a protest against the research connections of the university with the U.S. military during the Vietnam War. This was part of the movement that opposed the United States' involvement in the Vietnam War. Number 9. The Seattle Jewish Federation Shooting. On July 28, 2006, Naveed Haki killed 1 person and injured 5 others in a shooting in the Jewish Federation building in Seattle. He told law enforcement he was motivated by his anger with the American foreign policy in the Middle East. 13 years after, on the anniversary of the shooting, 9 new gun control laws were passed by the Washington state legislation. These new laws closed loopholes that were allowing people with a history of violence or people who are mentally unstable from obtaining a firearm. Number 8. The Los Angeles International Airport Shooting. On July 4, 2002, Muhammad Hidat opened fire on passengers waiting in line at the ticket counter for Israel National Airlines, killing 2 people and injuring 5 more. His motive was to influence U.S. foreign policy in favor of Palestine during the clash over the Holy Land. His wife sued the city of Los Angeles for blaming Muhammad because she felt like he was being discriminated against because he was Arab and Muslim and the hatred of those groups since 9/11. This case was later dismissed. Number 7. The 16th Street Baptist Church Bombing. On September 15, 1963, members of the KKK set off bombs inside of an African-American Baptist church, killing 4 people and injuring 22 more. The KKK is a racist white supremacist group dating back to the Civil War that is against African Americans and resented the progress they made during the Civil Rights Movement. This attack, among other events of the Civil Rights Movement and the assassination of JFK, caused the 1964 Civil Rights Act to be passed, which outlawed discrimination against another person based on their skin color. Number 6. The El Paso Shooting. On August 3, 2019, Patrick Cruz shot up a Walmart in El Paso, Texas, killing 23 people. Patrick was a far-right extremist and was very anti-immigration. He told law enforcement that he was targeting Hispanic and Latino Americans. The Response Act was introduced into the Senate, which would create a task force to investigate and prosecute people selling guns without a license and people lying on background checks. Number 5. The Orlando Nightclub Shooting. On June 12, 2016, Omar Mateen shut up a gay nightclub in Orlando, Florida, killing 49 people and injuring 53 more. Omar Mateen was openly anti-gay and pledged his allegiance to the anti-gay Islamic State of Iraq and Syria. Evidence points to hate against gay people as the motive for this shooting. The state of Florida came together to help the victims through an LGBT group called Equality Florida. This group raised millions of dollars for the victims and their families. Number 4. The Boston Marathon Bombing. On April 15, 2013, 2 bombs were set off near the finish line of the Boston Marathon. These bombs killed 3 people and injured 260 more. The 2 brothers that carried out this attack were motivated by their extremist Islamic beliefs, but were not connected to any terrorist group. This attack caused a provision to be made in the National Defense Authorization Act that was passed by Congress, which gave terror victims access to military treatment. Number 3. The Oklahoma City Bombing. On April 19, 1995, Timothy McVeigh and Terry Nicholas set off a truck bomb on the Alfred P. Murphy Federal Building, killing 168 people and injuring over 680 more. The motive for this attack was anti-government sentiment and the retaliation for Rugby Ridge and the Waco siege, which they thought were violations of the Second Amendment. Number 2. The Tulsa Massacre. On May 31, 1921, mobs of white residents were given weapons by city officials to attack black residents and businesses. This riot lasted until the next day and is seen as the single worst incident of racial violence in American history, killing around 300 people and injuring around 800 more. An African-American teenager named Dick Rowland was accused of raping a white woman, which made the white residents furious, sparking the two-day riot. None of the rioters were charged with any crime, and African Americans couldn't file suit against the government for damages until the Genocide Accountability Act of 2007. Number 1. 9/11. On September 11th, 2001, 4 planes were hijacked by members of Al-Qaeda. 2 planes flew into the World Trade Center, 1 into the Pentagon, and the last one was retaken by the passengers and crashed into a field in Pennsylvania. All the passengers were killed and thousands more were killed or injured. The motive for this attack was a jihad, which is an Islamic holy war against the enemies of Islam. This attack caused the Aviation and Transportation Security Act to be passed by Congress, which established the TSA.